Revealed, the incredible, heartwarming journey of a mother caring for 3 cats and finding life-changing transformation. Sarah's heart raced as she clocked out of the diner, the neon sign buzzing against the evening twilight. The sounds of laughter from children drifting across the street made her smile, but each giggle felt like a reminder of her own burdens. Bills piled high at home, dreams for her kids flickering like a candle in the wind. As a 35-year-old single mother of 2, life weighed heavy on her shoulders, yet the words of her neighbor, "Mrs. Thompson, you've got the heart of a lion," Sarah often echoed in her mind, nudging her onward through sleepless nights and tedious shifts. That ordinary afternoon turned extraordinary when she strolled home after a grueling late shift. The sun hung low in the sky, casting golden light on the pavement as she breathed in the sweet scent of freshly mowed grass. But as she passed the alley, a faint meowing pierced through her thoughts. Her heart skipped as sheer curiosity pulled her toward the dumpster. What she discovered next sent a surge of warmth through her chest. 3 tiny, shivering kittens huddling together, their little bodies trembling with cold and fear. At that moment, hope ignited in her heart like a wildfire. These kittens needed her, just as her kids did. As she carefully scooped them up in her arms, their tiny bodies nestled against her, she felt a sense of purpose wash over her. When she arrived home, her children squealed with delight at the sight of their new furry friends. Laughter erupted, filling the house with joy, and for a fleeting moment, worries vanished amid purring and playful antics. But that joy wasn't tea without its complications. Mr. Jenkins, the battle-scarred war veteran next door, stormed over one evening, his face twisted with annoyance as he waved a fistful of complaints about the noise. "These cats are ruining the quiet," he growled, his voice a harsh thunder against the unfolding happiness. Old wounds surfaced for both of them, and the quiet street became battlegrounds, misunderstandings sprouting like weeds in a neglected garden. As she looked after her furry companions, Sarah realized something profound. Mr. Jenkins was battling his own despair beneath that gruff exterior. She found solace in caring for the kittens. They became her source of light against the storm clouds brewing in her life. Days passed, and her children began to adore Mr. Jenkins, fascinated by the war stories they overheard him share at the diner. An idea took root in Sarah's mind. Perhaps a peace offering could mend the divide between them. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as she felt they were starting to bridge their differences, a sudden storm swept through the town without warning, flooding streets and threatening homes. Panic rippled through the community, but amidst the chaos, Sarah's nurturing spirit ignited. This was a moment to unite. Together with her kids, they organized volunteers for relief. The once quiet neighborhood buzzed with energy as everyone pitched in. But could she truly mend the frayed relationship with Mr. Jenkins? As the floodwaters rose and the stakes increased, the question loomed larger than life: could compassion prevail over misunderstanding when they needed each other the most? The smell of mud and rain lingered in the air as Sarah's kids raced around the neighborhood, her heart swelling with pride. Together, they handed out sandwiches and water bottles to families trying to salvage their homes. The sound of laughter and the smell of greasy pizza from a local restaurant, even amid destruction, was a small beacon of hope. Everyone worked tirelessly, their hands moving faster than the storm clouds overhead. Yet, through the bursts of energy and camaraderie, Sarah caught sight of Mr. Jenkins. He stood at the edge of the flooding, hands shoved deep into his pockets, eyebrows furrowed, just as distant and stormy as the skies above. She wanted to call out to him, to shout that they were all in this together, but every time she gathered her courage, his glimmering eyes held a curtain of guarded sorrow. It was then she realized that he too was sheltering a storm inside. With the rain cascading around her, the idea of offering him one of the kittens flashed in her mind, and with it came a swell of determination. She imagined the warmth of those tiny bodies comforting him through his solitude. But what if he rejected it? Was she reaching too far and reaching out to someone who seemed so set apart? The storm raged on, and soon, Sarah noticed the torrent starting to climb. She gathered her children, her own worries masked by a facade of calm. "We need to check in with Mr. Jenkins," she told them, her voice steady despite the stirring fears inside. Together, they made their way across the soggy grass toward the old man. As they approached, Mr. Jenkins didn't notice them at first. He was lost in thought, staring out at the floodwaters like he was facing the ghosts of his past battles. Clearing her throat, Sarah called out gently, "Mr. Jenkins." He turned, surprise written across his face. "What do you want?" His voice bore that familiar sharpness, but something deeper flickered behind it. "We're bringing supplies to the others," she said, waving the basket of sandwiches. "We thought you might want to join us. It's time we all band together." He hesitated, and for a moment, Sarah thought he might turn away. But then, she took a breath, challenging herself to step closer. "I also brought a little something else," she added, her eyes softening, "a gift that could use a good home. Would you like to meet the kittens?" The tough facade softened for a moment as Mr. Jenkins' expression shifted, curiosity brushing against his guarded demeanor. "Kittens?" he repeated quietly, the corners of his mouth faltering. "Yes, they're a handful, but they bring joy. They really do." Sarah smiled, picturing the giggles of her children and the warmth the kittens brought to their small home. "They just need someone to love them. Just like we all do." As she showed him the small basket, a faint flicker of interest ignited in his eyes. But before he could respond, a loud crack of thunder broke through the air, startling everyone. The rain intensified, and for a moment, it felt like the weight of the world pressed down upon them. Would Mr. Jenkins let go of his pain before the storm swept away the chance for connection? Fear gripped Sarah's heart, but hope surged, amplifying her resolve. "Mr. Jenkins, we can share the light if you let us." And as the rain poured down, the moment hung heavy, teetering between the past and the potential of new beginnings. Would Mr. Jenkins step into this storm with them, or retreat once more into the shadows of his sorrow? The question lingered in the air, charged with possibility. Could compassion indeed bridge the divides that life had built? Mr. Jenkins stood there, his brow knit tight against the downpour. For a moment, it felt as if time stood still. Sarah's heart raced, waiting for his answer. She held her breath, hoping he could feel the sincerity pouring from her. Finally, he shifted his weight, the tension easing slightly in his shoulders. "Kittens," he said, his voice barely audible over the relentless rain. "I haven't had a cat in years." "Then this could be a start," she urged gently, a smile breaking across her face. "They need a home, and you could use some company. It's a win-win." There was a flicker of something in Mr. Jenkins' eyes. Was it longing? Regret? The weight of memories seemed to hang in the space between them, heavy but somehow lighter as Sarah extended the basket towards him. Inside, tiny meals echoed, their little bodies wriggling and pouncing against each other. He hesitated more, looking between the kittens and Sarah's earnest gaze. Moments stretched out, their surroundings fading into the background. It took only a blink for the rain to make their world feel like a washing machine, but it was the silence in that moment that felt almost alive. Finally, he took a step forward, reaching into the basket. His fingers brushed against the soft fur of one particularly adventurous little one who climbed to the top, ready to see the world. A tentative smile broke through his weather-worn face. "What do I do with them?" "Well, first, you hold them." Sarah laughed lightly, the tension easing in her chest. "Let them purr. Just let them in." Mr. Jenkins made awkward movements, but soon, he was cradling the tiny ball of fur carefully against his chest. The kitten squirmed, curling into the warmth of his grasp. When the kitten gave a soft purr, the sound seemed to change everything for him. The storm cloud still loomed above, but for a moment, the rain felt less oppressive, less isolating. Sarah watched, heart swelling as he lifted his gaze, his own eyes softer now, with vulnerability she had rarely seen. Her children crowded at his side, a tangle of joy and enthusiasm. "What's his name?" they chimed, their faces bright and inviting. Mr. Jenkins' brows lifted. His name? Yeah. You can name him anything, one of them piped up. I named my cat Snickers because he's sweet. He chuckled, the sound a mix of surprise and warmth. Guess I could call him Hope. Perfect. Sarah exclaimed. Hope sounds great. As they stood together in that moment, sharing laughter in the midst of chaos, Sarah couldn't help but imagine the healing journey ahead. Would Mr. Jenkins let the kitten bring him the light he so desperately needed? With every minute, the community moved around them, helping neighbors and finding strength in each other. Sarah's heart ached for Mr. Jenkins, but she felt a flicker of hope, like sunshine breaking through storm clouds. Then, just as they were settling into this newfound connection, a loud crash echoed from across the street. It was the sound of crumbling bricks and splintering wood, a nearby house losing its battle against the flood. In an instant, the moment of tenderness shattered, giving way to worry. We need to help. Sarah shouted. She turned to Mr. Jenkins, urgency filling her voice. Can you come with us? For the first time, determination flashed across his face. Let's do it. Let us help. It was a small but significant step forward. As they rushed toward the echoed sound of impending disaster, Sarah knew this was only the beginning. But would they have the strength to make a difference when the storm raged around them? The rain pounded the pavement, each drop soaking the ground deeper. Barely aware of their own drenched clothes, Sarah and Mr. Jenkins followed the sound of chaos. Her heart raced not just with worry but with a surge of unexpected courage as they pushed through the deluge, each determined to make a difference. Stay close. Sarah called to her children, instinctively guiding them like a mother hen flocking her chicks. The kittens she had brought were still safe in Mr. Jenkins' arms, who now seemed focused, the storm briefly forgotten as concern took over his features. As they reached the neighbor's house, the sight was heart-wrenching. The structure teetered, walls bowed under the relentless force of the floodwater. A family huddled in the yard, frightened and watching as their home succumbed to nature's fury. The smell of wet wood combined with the murmur of despair hung in the air, and Sarah felt a pang in her chest. We can't just stand here, she urged. We have to help them. A flicker passed between her and Mr. Jenkins, a silent understanding that, together, they could channel this sense of urgency into action. He nodded, the determination etched on his face now unmistakable. Sarah. Stay here with the kittens, she instructed her children. Mr. Jenkins and I will see what we can do. The kids glanced at each other, the weight of the moment sparking a mix of fear and excitement. Okay, Mom. They yelled back, instinctively forming a barrier around the basket. Without wasting another second, Sarah and Mr. Jenkins approached the family, hearts racing as they moved through the swirling waters. Is everyone okay? Sarah shouted over the noise, her voice resonating with the urgency of the moment. The father, drenched and visibly shaken, shook his head. Our belongings, they're all gone. We need help fast. Without hesitation, Sarah instructed Mr. Jenkins, let us gather what we can. Anything we can salvage. Together, they began rifling through the remnants, cautiously exploring the collapsing structure. Every weakened step took on new meaning, not just fighting against the storm outside but battling the looming storm of despair that shrouded them all. Mr. Jenkins, surprisingly agile for his age, was more than willing to push aside broken wood and cracked drywall, revealing belongings lost in the chaos. Here. He lifted a small, battered box, muddy but still intact. I think it's their memories. Sarah pulled another item from the debris. A photo frame. There might be something worthwhile in here. Together, they worked, driven by an urgency that felt infectious. With each object retrieved, a sliver of hope seemed to ignite within the family, their expressions shifting from despair to determined gratitude. The shadow of survival began to flicker through the storm. Minutes passed, turning into frantic hours as the rain continued, but their spirit grew stronger. They formed a makeshift rescue team, the children unloading precious treasures, Mr. Jenkins directing with unexpected authority, and Sarah bringing comfort with every found item. There was warmth in their shared labor, a hint of community rising from the floodwaters. Suddenly, a loud creak echoed over the sound of the rain, and Sarah felt her heart drop. "Get back!" she yelled, grabbing Mr. Jenkins by the arm just as a portion of the roof buckled. They all jumped aside as debris crashed down, sending waves of mud pooling around their feet. An overwhelming rush of panic surged through her as she realized how vulnerable they still were, how thin the line was between safety and disaster. But amidst it all, Sarah caught Mr. Jenkins' eye. He looked at her, and something shifted in his gaze, fear now mixed with the recognition of camaraderie. They were fighting side by side, not just against the storm, but against their own pasts. "Are you okay?" she asked breathlessly, the chaos swirling around them fading momentarily in the eye of the storm. He nodded, a small smile breaking through. "We're stronger than we think, aren't we?" Just as that hopeful thought settled between them, the rain intensified once more. It wasn't only the weather that would test their newly formed bond, the fear of collapse loomed, maybe more dangerously than the flood itself. In this moment of unity, Sarah realized how quickly everything could change. And as they worked to save a home, she could feel the weight of a new resolve building within her. But in this storm of uncertainty, they had only begun to uncover the truths waiting on the horizon. What other storms awaited them, not just from nature, but from the choices they made next. The rain continued to pour in torrents, relentless and unforgiving. Inside the small home that was quickly becoming a shell of itself, Sarah and Mr. Jenkins hurriedly sorted through the wreckage, their hearts pounding in sync with the drum of the storm outside. Every creaking floor and groaning wall was a reminder of time slipping away. "Quickly, their essay box in the bedroom," the father called out, pointing towards the shadowy section of the house beyond the debris. His voice trembled, filled with desperation and fear. "Let us go," Sarah shouted back, adrenaline surging. She darted past Mr. Jenkins, her heart racing with purpose. The vulnerable state of the home was a mirror to her own racing thoughts. She felt an urgency she had never known before. This wasn't just about saving belongings, it was about saving hope. As she plunged into the bedroom, chaos surrounded her. Clothes were strewn everywhere, soaked through, the air thick with the scent of dampness and decay. Yet amid the destruction lay glimmers of what once was. Sarah fought through the muck, searching for that box, each fleeting moment a reminder of lives hanging in the balance. She reached down, her fingers brushing against a familiar texture. A small, faded quilt was buried beneath a pile of wet clothes. With renewed determination, she pulled it free and saw the box nestled beside it. It was scuffed and dirty, but intact. "I found it," she yelled, holding it up like a trophy. Mr. Jenkins appeared, squeezing into the tight space next to her. He beamed at the sight. "Let us get it out of here." As they maneuvered the box towards safety, the house gave a fierce shudder. Both of them froze momentarily, eyes wide with fear. "That sound can't have been good," Mr. Jenkins murmured. They knew they were running out of time. Just then, a crack split the air as a large beam broke loose from the ceiling and crashed directly where they'd been standing moments before. The air filled with dust and a sense of despair washed over Sarah. "We have to hurry," she urged them both, pushing past the fear gripping her chest. As they exited the bedroom, the family was gathering in the yard, watching and waiting. Sarah could see the glimmer of hope in their eyes as she placed the box onto the grass carefully. "We got it. We salvaged your memories," she told them, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. The mother stepped forward, tears glistening under the rain-soaked lashes. Thank you. You have no idea what these mean to us." She opened the box slowly, revealing an assortment of photographs and letters, treasures holding the essence of happier times. As the family started sorting through their keepsakes, a sense of gratitude washed over Sarah like the rain drenching them. But just as the storm seemed to settle, rumblings of the thunder grew louder. There was a worry in the air, an unspoken fear that this wasn't over yet. Sarah turned to Mr. Jenkins. "We can't leave them here. They need somewhere safe." Her resolve was bubbling stronger, urging her to take action even in the face of uncertainty. What if he hesitated, looking at the other family? What if we invite them with us? "It's a risk, but his voice trailed as he glanced around at the ravaged homes lining the street. "Everyone deserves safety," she insisted, her voice firm. "If we can make a difference, let us do it together." As they discussed the plan, Sarah's children rushed over, wide-eyed and soaked, yet filled with newfound determination. "Mom, we can help. We can help them find shelter." In that moment, the rain drummed on, but Sarah felt a spark igniting. The choice to expand their efforts, to share their sanctuary, was a testament to resilience. "Let us do it," she breathed, determination bubbling within her, ready for the next chapter not just for herself, but for everyone involved. But as they began to form a plan, a crack of lightning illuminated the sky, casting long shadows across the faces gathered. Would their small act of kindness hold up against the fury of the storm still raging? She glanced up, her heart pounding, feeling a mix of excitement and dread. What awaited them when they finally stepped into the unknown together? The group huddled together, the storm raging as their backdrop. Sarah felt the weight of uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. Before her stood Mr. Jenkins, his brows knitted, as if he was calculating the risks, while anxious whispers traveled amongst the families gathered around. The rain poured relentlessly, drenching them, but Sarah knew they had to act quickly. "Okay," she said, raising her voice to gain everyone's attention. "Let us finish gathering what we can. We need to move now. Safety is our priority." Each word she spoke carried the tremor of urgency. Mr. Jenkins nodded. "I'll get some flashlights and supplies from my garage. You guys keep gathering anything that can help." As he hurried away, Sarah turned to the other family. "What can we help you with?" The father looked at her, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "We don't have much left, but we could use a few blankets, maybe some food." "We'll have the kids help." "Let us do this," Sarah encouraged, her heart racing as she directed the children to safely gather a few more important items. "Stay close, and be careful." The kids obeyed, darting in and out of the splintered remains of their home. Sarah's own children joined in, laughter and quick movement bridging the chasm of fear threatening to overwhelm them. That fleeting sense of joy made Sarah smile even through the storm. In those moments, hastily stuffing mementos into fraying backpacks, a sense of shared purpose began to fill the space. The rain fell harder, but laughter rang through, building a sense of community that transcended their circumstances. Hope intertwined with the looming despair, creating a fragile yet beautiful tapestry of resilience. Then came the thunder, deep and resonating. The skies cracked open again, and Sarah's heart sank as she heard a rumble that sent icicles of fear down her spine. "We need to hurry," she shouted, her voice barely piercing through the cacophony. Just then, a series of blinding flashes danced through the air, illuminating everyone's faces. Their expressions reflected urgency, determination, and in some cases, sheer terror. A thick fog of anxiety settled over them once more. "Let us form a line," Mr. Jenkins shouted, rejoining them with an armful of supplies. "We'll stick together. Everyone, grab what you can carry." As they all scanned the wreckage, Sarah spotted a small furry creature shaking beneath a mangled pile of wood. "Wait!" she cried, stopping the line. "We can't leave it." "What is it?" Mr. Jenkins blinked and turned. With trembling hands, she unearthed a frightened puppy, muddy and trembling, its large eyes pleading for help. Sarah's heart burst with compassion. "We can't just leave it." She cradled it against her chest. "What if we can't take it?" one of the other mothers whispered, fear coursing through her voice. The question hovered, a chilling reminder of the situation they were in. But Sarah had made up her mind. "Then we make room. We don't abandon anyone. Not today." The tensions in the air shifted as others began murmuring agreement. "If we're going to help, let us do it right," Mr. Jenkins added, a determined glint in his eye. But just as they made their way towards safety, a violent gust of wind knocked loose debris from above, sending a shower of wooden fragments crashing down around them. Panic erupted in an instant, every heartbeat quickening like the rain falling harder around them. Parents grasped their children, and the puppy yapped in terror, scrambling against Sarah's soaked jacket. Move. Now. She yelled, adrenaline surging through her veins, pushing her feet forward as the storm held mercilessly. The path to safety lay uncertain, swirling with debris and thoughts of what might come. They forged ahead, clinging together in the chaos, but with every step, shadows loomed. Would they really find sanctuary? Or would the storm claim them too? As they crossed through the chaotic remnants, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something much larger was waiting just ahead, ready to challenge their fragile hope even more. The group pressed forward, panic fueling their movements. Sarah could feel the intensity of the storm wrap around them like a dark cloak, yet amidst the chaos, there was a flicker of determination. She tightened her grip on the puppy, its small body shivering against her. The sound of falling debris was deafening, each crash making her heart leap to her throat. Stay close. Mr. Jenkins barked, ushering everyone to stick tight. He was clearly doing his best to keep spirits high, but worry etched lines on his face. As they moved, the wind howled, a monstrous being intent on tearing them apart. Rain lashed at them, soaking their clothes and weighing them down, but Sarah couldn't focus on that now. Her mind raced with thoughts of reaching the ridge ahead, a slight rise that might offer protection from the storm. Just a bit further. She shouted, her voice straining above the cacophony. The ground was uneven, her feet tripped over roots and shattered pieces of homes that had been a community not long ago. Panic threatened to freeze her as she caught sight of a family farther back, two children struggling to keep up, slipping on mud. Come on! She yelled, glancing back. We're almost there. The children's eyes were wide with fear, but they kept moving. A surge of resolve filled her. If they were going to find safety, they had to be together. As they pressed on, Sarah exchanged glances with the other parents. Exhaustion and worry lined their faces, each step was a struggle. Collective breaths clouded the air, intertwined with the scent of rain and chaos. Suddenly, the wind gusted violently again, and she felt her knees almost buckle as she steadied herself against a tree. Hold on! She shouted to those behind. But when she looked back, her heart sank. One of the children, the youngest, a girl with blonde pigtails, had fallen. Sarah! Mr. Jenkins called, his voice thick with alarm. Without thinking, Sarah dashed back, the puppy still cradled tightly in her arms. Get up! You can do this! She urged, reaching out to grab the girl's hand. Mommy! The little girl cried, tears mingling with rainwater on her cheeks. Your mom is right there. Just a few more steps. Sarah insisted, feeling the urgency pulse through her veins again. She could barely hear the thunder, all she could think about was getting this child back on her feet. After a moment that felt like a lifetime, the little girl grasped Sarah's hand. With a swift pull, she helped her up, and they moved as one. Suddenly, another gust roared loudly around them, sending debris flying. The group gasped and veered away. In that split second, Sarah spotted a sharp piece of wood flying blindly towards them, its trajectory unsettling. Incoming! She yelled, throwing herself in front of the child. The world slowed as she felt the wind rush past, heard the swish of danger hurtling toward them. But the impact never came. The menacing wood splintered before it reached them, shattered by something unseen, a sudden force that veered it off course. Blinking in disbelief, Sarah could scarcely believe her eyes as the remnants of a larger piece of debris flew past like a shooting star. Did you see that? Someone near her whispered, awe intermingling with confusion. Grasping the little girl's hand tightly, Sarah felt an unwarranted pang of hope swell in her heart. Could it be that they weren't just fighting against the storm? Was something watching over them, guiding their steps, even in this moment of desperation? They continued toward the ridge, the pulse of solidarity guiding them through the tempest. A heartbeat of determination surged in her chest, and, for the first time since it all began, a whisper of something hopeful shimmered in her mind. As they reached the top of the rise, Sarah paused, taking a moment to breathe. Everybody gathered around, faces illuminated by intermittent flashes of lightning, revealing their wide eyes full of fear and uncertainty. Look! Mr. Jenkins whispered loudly, pointing towards a flickering light in the distance. Is that? Sarah's mind raced. Hope was finally breaking through the darkness, but a nagging thought tugged at her. What or who awaited them at that light? Everyone, let us move, she shouted, feeling the pull of that distant glow urging them on, yet acutely aware that their true challenge was only just beginning. The group pushed onward, driven by the glimmer of hope radiating from that flickering light. It beckoned like a lighthouse in a storm, promising safety just out of reach. Sarah felt the adrenaline pulse through her veins, spurring her on as she called to the others, urging them to keep their pace steady despite the fear gripping their hearts. Stick together. Stay close, she shouted, scanning the faces around her. Fear mingled with exhaustion, yet she saw determination mirrored back. They were all in this together. As they fought against the elements, the howling wind seemed to form a chorus, its eerie wails piercing the air. The light danced ahead, teasing them through the dark wall of rain. With each step, it flickered, drawing them forward yet keeping its distance, like a mirage. Almost there, Mr. Jenkins encouraged, his voice firm despite the tremor in it. But as they neared the elusive glow, the ground beneath them shifted. The rain had turned the pathways into slick rivers of mud, making their feet slide unexpectedly. Sarah stumbled, barely catching herself on a tree trunk. She felt the puppy shift in her arms, its little heart racing. Hang on, buddy. We got this, she whispered to the trembling creature, hoping to infuse her own courage into its small frame. Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced the air. Another child in trouble, this time a boy who had lost his footing and was clinging to a root, terror contorting his face. Without hesitation, Sarah broke away from the group and rushed to him. Grab my hand, she shouted over the howling wind, reaching out, feeling the desperate tug in her chest. He looked frightened, too scared to move. Come on, she implored, only to feel a wave of frustration crash over her. Why was this happening? Sarah. Mr. Jenkins's voice broke through her focus. We need to keep moving. But this was more than just about moving forward. This was about not leaving anyone behind, about clinging to the belief that they could stand together against the tempest. She couldn't abandon him, not now. Please, she urged. Just trust me. With a breath of courage, the boy finally reached for her hand. She wrapped her fingers around his, pulling him up while battling the relentless wind. Feeling him clamber up her arm brought a rush of relief, but the storm showed no signs of letting up. Just then, an even stronger gust of wind enveloped them. It felt like the world was about to give way. Sarah braced herself, feeling the boy's weight against her side. The group was just ahead, reaching out with worry-lined faces. Come on. Mr. Jenkins gestured, his expression fierce as he held out his hand, encouraging them to make the last few steps. With renewed strength, Sarah pulled the boy beside her, propelling them both forward toward the light, a refuge that seemed impossibly close yet still out of reach. Then, as they broke free from the darkness enveloping them, they stumbled into a clearing. The rain lessened, a soft patter against the ground, and Sarah blinked against the sudden brightness. Before them lay a small cabin, its warm glow spilling from the windows, offering the promise of warmth, food, and safety. It was everything they had been searching for, a sanctuary from the merciless storm. Is this real? Someone whispered, mingling with disbelief in their voices. We made it. Another cried, relief washing over the group. But Sarah felt a dissonance stir within her, a mixture of joy and trepidation. Wait, she warned, glancing back into the darkness. What if it's dangerous? The flickering light danced in the shadows, casting mysterious shapes across the ground. They had faced so much already. What lay beyond those doors? As the group hovered at the edge of the clearing, Sarah's heart raced again. They could be walking into danger, or perhaps into the safety they had long yearned for. Should we go in? Someone asked, uncertainty rippling through the crowd. Together, Sarah commanded, her voice steady. Whatever's out there, we face it as one. As they made their way toward the cabin, hope brushed against their fears. It was Hear that maybe they would find answers or face even greater unknowns. Would the warmth inside bring solace, or would it reveal deeper challenges to confront together? The cabin loomed before them, its inviting glow a beacon in the dim world they had just escaped. Sarah took a deep breath, pushing her doubts aside. What awaited them was unknown, but the warmth of the light was irresistible. She stepped forward, her foot crunching on gravel, and the others followed closely behind, moving as one unit, bound by fear and hope alike. As they approached the door, a wind gust whipped around them, sending a chill down Sarah's spine. She reached for the handle and hesitated. "Wait, everyone," she said, turning back to face the group. "Whatever we find inside, we face together. Remember, we've survived this storm. We can handle anything." Mr. Jenkins nodded, his eyes steady. "She's right. We've come too far to turn back now." With a collective breath, Sarah turned the handle and pushed the door open. It creaked ominously, revealing a small, cozy interior that looked as though it had been waiting for them. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace, and the scent of something warm and earthy filled the air. It was chaotic yet wholly a mixture of survival gear scattered about and a well-stocked kitchen that hinted at long-term habitation. "Is anyone here?" Sarah called, her voice echoing in the silence. The group stirred, glancing around with wary faces, half expecting something to leap out at them. A moment passed, and just as tension built in the air, a voice responded from the back of the cabin. "Just me." An older woman, gray hair tied back and eyes full of kindness, stepped out from behind a stack of crates. "You must be the ones caught in the storm. Come in, come in." Relief washed over Sarah and the others. They stepped inside, shaking off rain-soaked clothing and taking a moment to absorb the warmth that enveloped them like a blanket. A few of the kids slumped into chairs, weary but alive, while Sarah held the little puppy, who was finally calming against her chest. "Are you okay?" the woman asked, kneeling down to examine the boy Sarah had rescued. "Yeah, just scared," he replied, his voice small. "Fear can make us feel small, but you're safe now," she said, offering him a gentle smile. Sarah felt a warmth bloom in her chest. This woman was a balm for their battle-weary souls. "Thank you for letting us in," Sarah said, stepping forward. "We didn't know what to expect." "Oh, there's nothing to fear here. I've been waiting for travelers like you." The woman gestured to the kitchen. "I was just about to make some soup. Why don't you all wash up? You've been through quite the ordeal." As they settled in, the atmosphere shifted. Laughter began to replace the tension, kids eagerly recalling their adventures through the storm. The woman listened and nodded, her expression softening as the budding bonds of trust formed among them. But Sarah couldn't shake her unease. Who was this woman really? She seemed too good to be true, just a bit too perfect against the backdrop of chaos they had all lived through. As they warmed themselves by the fire and filled their stomachs with hearty soup, whispers of the storm outside faded. Yet, as the night deepened, so did Sarah's feeling of dread. Maybe all of this was just a brief respite. What if the storm outside was merely a beginning? What if the real challenge awaited them here? Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of the front door creaking again. The wind howled outside, and uncertainty returned. Eyes darted to the shadowed entrance, as the door swung open wide, letting in the cold night air. "Who's there?" Sarah called, her heart racing again while the group turned toward the gathering darkness. And in that moment, they all understood, their journey was far from over. What, or rather who stood at the threshold of the cabin, would determine if this refuge remained safe or transformed into something perilous. The shadows deepened as a figure emerged from the night, and Sarah's pulse quickened. What awaited them beyond the door? A figure stepped into the cabin, silhouetted against the stormy night. The wind howled behind them, rattling the doorframe like a warning. As the figure approached, Sarah's mind raced, uncertainty swirling like the tempest outside. It was a man, hollow eyes, drenched clothing, and the unmistakable weariness of one who had fought against the storm, both outside and within. Are you okay?" Sarah stammered, taking cautious steps forward. The group behind her held their breath, reflecting her unease. I'm fine. But your shelter 1 TB if you don't listen. His voice was low, edged with urgency. Everyone leaned in, curiosity battling fear. The storm, it's only going to grow worse. This cabin isn't safe. What do you mean? Mr. Jenkins stepped forward, frowning, his protective instincts flaring. We just survived the worst of it. We can't leave this place now. You don't understand. There's something about this storm. It's more than rain and wind. It's going to draw in what's left of the flood, and it wants you. His eyes darted around the cabin, taking in the worn faces, the weary children huddled close. A chill raced up Sarah's spine as the man continued. I've seen it before. The storm conjures things you'd rather forget. It thrives on despair. You need to leave now, while you still can. The group erupted into hushed chaos. Some whispered fearfully, clutching each other, others exchanged worried glances. What do we do? A young mother asked. Stay close, Sarah announced, her voice steady despite the anxiety gripping her heart. We did not survive these storms just to let fear drive us out again. The man's eyes narrowed, sensing the resolve in her tone. Fear won't save you, lady. I tried to warn others before. His voice broke, shadows flickering in his haunted gaze. There was a story wrapped in his unease, a tale woven with loss and regrets. Then tell us how to break it. Sarah shot back, the fire within her rising. Help us understand what we're dealing with. A moment of silence fell over the group, and the man's shoulders slumped slightly. You have to confront it. Whatever darkness this storm unravels, face it together. Only then can you move beyond it. Sarah felt a weight settle on her chest. Confront their fears? The thought made her blood run cold. The very thing she had fought against to shield her children, her community. And yet, there was an undeniable truth resonating in his words. What if we unite? She said carefully, glancing at Mr. Jenkins, her kids, and the worried families around her. We've fought together against literal storms today. What if we can face this too? Strength is in numbers, Mr. Jenkins agreed, a steely look of determination crossing his face. We've made it this far, there's no point in stepping back now. A spark of agreement ignited among the weary group. They were battered and bruised, yet they each held fragments of hope sewn into their spirits. The man observed them closely, a flicker of admiration crossing his face. Then it's time, the man murmured, a quiet intensity fueling his words. But you need to prepare. Gather your fears, let them surface, and face them one by one. That's the only way to calm the storm. With a heavy sigh, Sarah stepped closer to the man. Will you stay with us? Help us through whatever will come? He hesitated, then nodded slowly. I will. But be aware, whatever manifests is a reflection of your greatest struggles, the shadows that haunt you. As they gathered in a circle, each person held their breath. Lightning flickered outside, illuminating their faces, drawing into them the shared struggle they'd all borne. Nerves frayed, emotions tender, yet hearts pooled in unity. Address your fears, Sarah encouraged, her voice firm and full of warmth. This is our chance to reclaim what belongs to us: hope, joy, and strength. As she spoke, her children nestled closer, instinctively seeing the strength she exuded. The other parents responded, joining hands, bolstered by their purpose. Mr. Jenkins stood beside Sarah, raw vulnerability infused with strength born from recent battles. Together! Someone shouted. Let us find the light again. Then, one by one, everyone began to share. Each confession hung heavy in the air: loss, isolation, worry for those loved ones left behind during the storm. Each fear echoed, manifested, the shadows lunging as they collectively confronted them. Faces transformed in the firelight, revealing both their pain and determination. As the storm raged outside, a strange calm settled over the cabin, hieroglyphics of fear fading slowly into whispers of resilience. They had faced darkness together, each heart trembling yet fortified with hope. The man watched, a mix of disbelief and gratitude crossing his features. His gaze shifted from each person's determination, and finally, he whispered, "You've done it. You've begun to break free." Outside, the storm passed, rainfall easing to a gentle patter, mirrors of sunlight threatening to break through the clouds. Life pulsed in the humans within the cabin, energized by their shared connection, transformed into a family forged in the heart of a storm. And as they emerged, blinking into the newfound light, the air felt lighter, a canvas washed free of chaos and pain, revealing an opportunity for renewal. "It's not over, is it?" Sarah asked softly, the skepticism lingering. "No," the man said, his voice steady. "But it's a new beginning. You faced the storm. You'll always find a way." The sun broke through the clouds, shining down upon them as they stepped into a world reborn. Hope stirred in every soul present, a silent promise of tomorrow. As they looked onward, an unwavering realization washed over Sarah. They had started this journey to find each other, and it wasn't just the storm that had transformed them, it was the love, the strength, and the unyielding hope that defined them as a family. In that moment, Sarah felt her heart swell with appreciation, and she smiled brightly, knowing they truly had each other, no matter the storms yet to come. Now, as you reflect on this incredible transformation, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support by hitting that like button now to feed the algorithm. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. And comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. We're excited to hear from true fans like you.